Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. Thank you so much for tuning into this video today. Today we're going to talk about spiritual awakenings, and we're going to talk a little bit about what you might experience during a spiritual awakening. And we're going to talk about why you may be experiencing a spiritual awakening. And we're going to talk about what happens during and after a spiritual awakening. Cool, right? Because I'm going to bet that if you're watching this video, you are having a spiritual awakening, or you're just not sure what is going on, right? That's what typically happens. And the people that I do readings for and myself, you really wonder if you're going crazy. Like right now, my microphone just turned off and switched to a different microphone for no reason, which is crazy, if you ask me. So that's already something right there. Let's see if I can fix that craziness. Okay. So let's talk about spiritual awakenings, and let's talk about what triggers a spiritual awakening, right? I think a lot of times we want to know, like, why am I having this now? What is going on? Did something bring it on? Did I do something to bring it on? Right? We have questions about this because, frankly, nobody's talking about it. This isn't something that you hear about anywhere. You typically don't have friends that or family that are like, hey, this could happen. No one tells you when you're a teenager, hey, you might have a spiritual awakening. You know, that happened to grandma, and we all thought she was bat crap crazy, but turns out she was psychic, right? So, you know, it would be helpful if people did explain these things to us. It would be so much more helpful. But we're going to do that today. So we're going to catch you up on your spiritual awakening right now. So here's the deal, guys. Truly, all of us are psychic, okay? I said it out loud, and I'm saying it to you. We're all psychic. You may even want to repeat after me. I am psychic. Now, whether or not you're in touch with your psychic abilities, whether or not you're in touch with your intuition, that could be true or false. That could be anywhere on the spectrum. But our spiritual awakening is part of that awareness of our intuition of, you know what? There's more happening than just whatever I see with my 5 physical senses. There's other things happening. Perhaps I saw something out of the corner of my eye. Perhaps I heard my name called. Or perhaps I hear something that sounds like a radio or people talking from a far away, like from several rooms away. And I can't really make out what they're saying, but I hear it like on low. That's something that happens to me. That is clairaudience, by the way. If you're hearing like a radio music playing or something happening and it sounds like it's just barely there, that is your clairaudience. That is psychic hearing. Now, what happens when you hear your name called? Same thing. You get up, you're like, yeah. And then you realize no one is in the house but you. And that's a freak out moment, is it not? Like, I know I heard my name called. And as a matter of fact, I knew that it was a male, or I knew that it was a woman. As a matter of fact, didn't that sound like my aunt? That sort of kind of sounded like my aunt. But wait, my aunt is dead. My aunt is no longer here. How could my aunt be calling me? Who called my name, right? So what happens is when we have situations like that, and this could be any number of things that can happen to you, your brain doesn't have a little file folder to put that in, right? So we have file folders, right? So we feel love, well, that goes in the file folder. We feel anger, that goes in the anger file folder, right? We see some beautiful rainbow, and that goes into the joy or wow, that was cool file folder. We create these file folders because this is how we grow up in our society. We are taught these things exist. When something happens to you that you were taught doesn't exist, can't happen, then there's no file folder for you to put it in. So you know what happens is you forget it. Your brain is like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I'm throwing that out. And that's what happens. You forget it ever happened. Now, if you're watching this video, probably what's happened to you is you've had a few more of those things happen that you're now not able to forget. So maybe you had 20 things happen, but you've forgotten 18 of them. But you're remembering a few, and those few just won't go away. You can't forget them. They're stuck in your brain for some reason, and you don't know why, because it still doesn't make any more sense than it did before. But those things are just stuck with you. And most of us don't talk to anybody about it, because who are we going to talk to? People are going to think we're crazy. So we just keep it to ourselves. Sometimes I feel like I'm a confessional in my readings, because people often say to me, you're going to think I'm crazy. And I think on the other end of the phone, not likely. Not likely, right? I mean, I don't know if anybody could surprise me at this point, right? Because I know these things exist. I live with one foot across the veil, experiencing all the things that are non-physical, and the other foot inside our 3D world that's trying to remember what I wanted to go to get at the grocery store. Why am I in this aisle? I can't remember, right? So I'm kind of split. And that has its own issues that we can talk about in a different video. But so your spiritual awakening. Now, why did it happen to you? Like, why now? Like, why is it? Or it seems to be picking up speed. I'm having more things happen more frequently that I cannot explain. Now, that is what will sometimes push you to get a reading, or push you to watch a video like this, or push you to get some oracle cards or something, right? We try to understand, okay, maybe if I learned more about it, I would understand it. And then you'll have a little file folder for it, and your brain will have somewhere to put these experiences. So let me talk about, this is, all of the things I'm about to tell you are not written in stone. We are unique individuals with our own little unique fingerprints. None of us are the same. Your experiences are not going to be the same as everybody else's. You're going to have your own unique experience, and you may have it differently than other people. Now, overall, we could sort of put us all in this same bucket of having a spiritual awakening, but within that big container, allow yourself to be different, allow your story to be different, your experiences to be different, and that is okay. So many people experience some kind of trigger for their spiritual awakening. So it could be an illness. It could be a near-death experience, is very popular one to really kind of crack you open a little bit. You could have a car accident. You could have a divorce. You could lose a loved one. Even the pandemic has caused a lot of us to say, wow, I've had some time to disengage from my normal work life or society or whatever. And now that I've got more time, I find myself being more open and things are happening. So even the pandemic has caused a surge of awakening. Midlife crisis can cause an awakening. Is this all there is? Or, wow, I'm at this age in my life and I want more. I want to know more, or there's got to be more, right? So that can trigger this beginning of an awakening. Depression can trigger an awakening. Again, anything that would cause you to search, a bad breakup, anything at all that can cause you to search. I need to know more. I need to understand more. I feel like there's more happening, and I feel like I would benefit from knowing about that. I'll tell you another really good reason. At some point, you start to see patterns in your life. Like, why am I always picking these certain kinds of jobs that are unfulfilling or whatever? Why do I often have a boss with similar personality traits? Why do I always fall for this type of person in my relationships? Why am I having the same experience in my life that my grandmother did and my mother did, and now I'm doing it? So again, we're searching for answers. What is going on here? Help me figure this out. I'm ready to move past being reactionary, and now I want to learn so that I can kind of get through this lesson and not keep repeating the pattern. So these are some of the reasons why we have a psychic or a spiritual awakening. Now, I want to tell you, usually, and I'm going to just say, and I'm actually talking to my spirit guides right now, so they'll correct me sometimes or don't take me on a new direction. And I was going to say, I want to say that 9 times out of 10, and they would agree with this, 9 times out of 10, you have had some sort of experience when you were a child or when you were a teenager or at some point in your life. So these spiritual awakenings are like an onion. So it starts out, and you cry. It starts out, and then you have a break. You put that onion away. And then for some reason, you're drawn to pick it up again, and you peel some more layers off, and then you might put it away. So spiritual awakenings tend to happen in phases. Sometimes you have a phase in your early 20s or late teens, and you're all about metaphysical everything. And maybe you're even giving readings, or maybe you're diving into the tarot or diving into other divinations. And then, just as quickly as it took over your interest, it dissipates. And now you're forgetting about it. Maybe you start a family, maybe you go to college, maybe you get that job, whatever. Guess what? It doesn't fit. This part of me that likes these things doesn't fit with my coworkers, maybe it doesn't fit with your new spouse or your new girlfriend or boyfriend. Maybe it doesn't fit with this new college, this new experience that you're having. So what you do is you say, well, I want to assimilate. I want to be a part of this group. And because this group thinks this part of me is crazy, I'm going to just put this away on a shelf. And then guess what? It comes back. And why does it come back? Because you're supposed to be on a spiritual awakening journey. It's not going to go away. It may come back in your midlife and then go away. It may come back stronger or even just fleeting. And that's all okay. That is all part of the process. If you're watching this video, it may have come back in a way that you're now ready to accept or to learn more about and allow it to have a bigger part of your life. Maybe you just can't deny it anymore. Maybe you're starting to have more and more experiences and you can't deny those experiences. So here you are, like, what is this? What's happening to me? Why is it happening to me? Well, again, if it's happening to you right now, it's part of your spiritual journey. It's part of your life path here on earth to experience this. Now, I will say that now I'm doing this video in October of 2022. You may be watching this video, God knows when, and that's fine, because at this time, we are awakening faster. We are being called to awaken more. I feel that that's because there's several things that are happening at once. Well, our human consciousness is ascending, and it might not look like that, but it really is. It truly is ascending. Now, I'm of a certain age. I'm in my midlife, and I came here. I came here to do this work. Now, did I do this work? No. I did not, because in my soul path, in my soul journey, I apparently made a deal when you're making your incarnation plans to come down here on this earth. You know, you make a soul contract, you figure out what your soul needs to learn, and you come down here, you forget it all, you come down here and you sort of muddle your way through and you try to learn what it is you need to learn, right? So in my soul path, I spent the whole first half of my life doing something else. Now, I was always a medium. I could always see ghosts. I could always talk to ghosts. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I could talk to that ghost that's standing in the corner. It didn't, nobody helped me with that. I could see that when I was a child. And so I blocked it. I put it on, I pushed it away. Okay. Now, midlife, all of a sudden, my spiritual awakening came on strong. Now, of course, what happened was I went through a really bad breakup and I was looking for answers. I was looking at these patterns that were in my life. And I was like, you know, I could see these patterns and they're starting to freak me out. And I would like to know, why do I keep doing this? Now, other than getting therapy, which is not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea to get therapy, to get this out of your brain and to get it, you know, just say it out loud to someone who's neutral, who can help you understand what you're going through. But once you do that and you're still having these experiences, you realize that a therapist may not be the best person to help you. So you turn to videos and books and you start learning about your experiences. Maybe you Google, why am I hearing this voice? Why am I seeing these flashes? Why did I see that orb? Why am I seeing faces of people rolling between, you know, in my consciousness as I'm going to sleep? And that's something that's common for mediums. You're seeing faces just flicker and you don't know them. It's a very common thing for mediums to experience. So you're having these experiences and you start Googling, what is this, right? So that is where you start searching. Okay. So even though you have a trigger and you have a pretty, generally speaking, you have a spiritual awakening that's kind of the big one, the big kahuna. Before that, you've had many small ones, and that's fine. Okay. So just wherever you are is fine. It's not that you are behind or not doing enough. Just be where you are. Honor where you are. What will happen is your spirit guides, and we all have spirit guides. All of us have spirit guides. Your spirit guides help you on your soul journey. Now, they're not going to help you per se, you know, find the mate of your dreams if it isn't going to impact your soul journey. Their job is to help you on your soul journey. Now, you can ask for help. Simply just ask, I would like some help, please, to find a mate, to even lose weight, to find a new home, whatever. Doesn't matter how big or small, it does not matter. You're not bothering them. They'll simply give you a new spirit guide team that will be dedicated to helping you do that project. I promise you. But your main guides, your very main spirit guides, are all about your soul journey, and that's what they care about. So they are going to help you. Now, how does that look? It looks like somebody walks up to you and says, you know, I have this opening and I know that you're not exactly qualified for it, but I'm telling you, you would be perfect for it. And I really want you to come onto my team, and I can make it happen if you're interested. Well, sometimes we call those things miracles, right? Like, I really wanted a new job. I would really love to do that job that my friend does, and then he offers it to me. I mean, what are the odds of that? That's a miracle. That is your spirit guides helping you in that direction, because apparently that is your soul path. That's your soul path. They will help you. They'll give you resources. They'll give you opportunities. They'll give you thoughts in your head. All of a sudden you have a thought. I should call my friend Sal because he works at this place and I bet he's got a pretty good idea of what openings there are. And then before you know it, you're calling or texting this guy. Now, why all of a sudden did you have that thought? And furthermore, why all of a sudden are you literally following through with it? How many times have you had a thought and you didn't follow through with it? But today, you find yourself on your phone texting. That's the guides. Your spirit guides will work with you under the radar, your radar, because if they can get you, if they can give you the thought, which feels and sounds like your own thought, I should call Sal. Why didn't I ever think about that before? That's a clue, you guys. When I say, why didn't I ever think about that before? That's a clue. That they just left a little clue behind. And then you do it. Well, they successfully guided you. Now, if you know about this and you say, my spirit guides want me to call Sal. I haven't talked to him in 10 years. I'm not calling him. He'll think I've lost my mind. What am I going to say to him? I mean, I don't even know. Did he get divorced? I can't remember. I can't call him. Then the humanity gets involved, right? The humanity gets involved, and all of a sudden we're arguing with our spirit guides. And guess what happens? Nothing. Nothing happens. They don't get us to call Sal. They don't get us to get the job. So that's why, honestly, they'd really rather work under the radar. Humans are much easier to operate under the radar when we don't have questions and we just do what we're prompted to do. So another way that this would work is many times in my sessions, people say, it just happened yesterday. And I don't remember the session because when I channel, I don't remember what I say because it's not me. This client said, that's really interesting. I was just going to do that. I literally just had that thought to do that 2 days ago. Now, what does that mean? When you say, I just had that thought, and now you're telling me to do it. What does that mean? That's validation. That's validation to you that you are indeed receiving and acknowledging guidance. Now, in this case, for my client, it was actually from her late husband that gave her that information. But it's the same thing. She got the message from him because the thing that he suggested she do was out of left field. It wasn't something that she was thinking about doing. And that, my friends, is another clue. When you have those oddball thoughts, those out of left field thoughts, that's your spirit guides. So you'll often hear yourself say, I had the craziest idea. That's a clue. I had the craziest idea, and I don't know what even made me follow through with it. That's also a clue. But I'm glad I did because when I did, XYZ happened. That's what you're telling your friend, right? I don't know what made me do it, but I'm glad I did because I don't know why, but I just knew something was wrong with my tire. I just had this sinking feeling. That sinking feeling, honey, is psychic feeling. But anyway, and I pulled over to this auto shop, and sure enough, they found the nail in my tire. And I'm so glad I found that because I was getting ready to drive an hour and a half somewhere on the freeway. That's your intuition. That's your psychic abilities helping you out. You guys, it happens on a weekly basis. But our society has found ways to explain it so that we're not psychic. My gut instinct says blah, 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 blah. I have a feeling. I'll tell you another way. Pay attention to how you talk to people or how you talk to yourself. If you say, I have a feeling, I just have a feeling that it's going to rain today. I haven't looked at the radar, but I just know it's going to rain today. Feeling, when you say I have a feeling, that's clairsentience, that's psychic feeling. I just feel she's going to get married this year. I feel it. What do they say? I feel it in my bones. Do you ever have an elderly, or an older person in your family? I feel it in my bones. What does that mean? We allow that in our society. It's okay because nobody gave you the label psychic. That's a bridge too far. You can't be psychic, but by God, you can feel it in your bones. And that's acceptable. Something else. I just know. I just know he's going to get the job. I just know it. Or how about this? When you say, and you say it with such like a dumbfounded feeling, right? I just thought he was going to get that job. And you have this sense of like, how did that happen? How did he not get the job? I knew he was going to get the job. Well, how can you be so certain? Why do you feel so certain that he was going to get the job? Why do you feel so let down when he didn't get the job? I just knew it. I can't believe he didn't get the job. I mean, I really knew he was going to get that job. Well, how did you know? It was psychic. When you know things, but you don't know how you know them, that's claircognizance. That's a psychic ability. And I know it's happened to you. I know. You have known things without knowing how you know them. And it's okay in our society because it's a hunch. And you know what's even worse? We think it's common sense. I just thought it's common sense. But I would also get kind of like irritated or upset when people wouldn't listen to me because I knew that I was right a lot of the times. Now, I wasn't egotistical about it. I just was passionate about it. Like, golly, I wish they would do this. Because I knew I had this feeling, clairsentience. I just knew this was going to happen. And when you get to be a certain age and you have these feelings and you have these thoughts and you're getting proved right every time or every, 9 times out of 10 or even 8 times out of 10, you start trusting it, right? You start trusting that. And then when other people don't listen to you, it's frustrating because maybe you think it's common sense. Maybe you just think that you're a grounded person and they're airy-fairy and they don't have any common sense. People often say anybody could see that. Well, no, they can't. They really can't. That's your psychic abilities. I'm going to admit something to you right now, which is embarrassing. It's embarrassing for me to admit this because I still scratch my head. I still don't know how this happened. As I mentioned, I'm a psychic. I saw dead people, ghosts, orbs, energies, you name it. I saw it. I'm very clairvoyant, so I see things. That's another thing. If you say, I see her getting married, I see him getting the job, pay attention to those words. See, think, feel, know. See, think, feel, know. Okay. Thinking and knowing is actually the same. Hearing. I hear, I heard, I knew, right? So my admission to you is that even though I could see all this stuff, I didn't know I was a medium. I did have that first spiritual awakening in high school, and I spent all my time at the bookstore in the occult section, even though scary movies scared the bejesus out of me. I didn't like scary movies. I didn't like any of this stuff, but I was trying to figure it out. Like, why am I different? Why am I seeing these things, right? Went to college, put it on the shelf. Now, go to my second spiritual awakening was probably in my mid 30s, where it was okay, or my mid 20s, late 20s. It was okay to see ghosts, because when you're in your late 20s, it's cool to see ghosts. I mean, people think it's really cool that you can see ghosts and that you read energy. I mean, so now all of a sudden my weirdness is like a benefit, right? I'm the cool person that sees ghosts and I can talk to them and know where they are, blah, blah, blah. That was my other awakening. So I started accepting that part of me. Now, did I want to talk to your Aunt Betty? No. Did I want to talk to my Aunt Edna? No. But ghost, as long as they were nice, I was good with them until, of course you have that one experience where you have an experience that, is not nice. But that was my second awakening. Now, when I did my final awakening, much later in life, I knew, I'm like, okay, I know I'm a medium. I mean, all right, I'm a medium. So I started studying mediumship and I started learning about mediumship and even started my practice. I started my practice as a medium. You guys, I had no idea. And I'm being completely honest with you. I had no idea I was psychic. Zero. No idea. Even when I put my shingle out as a medium, I had no idea I was psychic, which is mind-blowing because if you're a medium, you're automatically psychic. If you're a psychic, you're not automatically a medium. And I know that people like James Van Praagh, who's a very famous mediumship teacher, told me, if you're a medium, which you are, you're a psychic. But I couldn't hear it. I couldn't accept it because it didn't fit with my worldview. If I was psychic, then why was my life so effed up? Why did I have those relationships? Why did I do this? Why did I do that? Surely I would have known. Surely. Well, I wasn't listening to my psychic messages or abilities. Well, it turns out that I was, but I didn't know I was, right? Back to that thing where I just know that this person is cheating on me, it turns out, right? So, I knew that. Well, how do you know? Your friends are like, do you have any evidence? No. Well, how do you know? I just know. I know. Well, are you going to ruin this relationship over a knowing? Yes, I am, but at the time I didn't realize that was psychic, but it was. Promise you, it was psychic. And all of us have this ability. It's innate in humans. We've forgotten about it. We're not using it really, or where we are, we're using it very sparingly. But as we ascend, we're going to be using it more and more. And what that means is you're going to have more and more experiences. Now, what does it mean as we ascend? Like, what does that mean? And what's going to happen? And I know everybody has questions about that. In my opinion, in my experience, I don't know everything. None of us humans know everything. In my experience, we're not going to a new Earth. We're not going to jet off of here, in a rocket ship. I mean, maybe Elon will, which is fine. Bye-bye. But the rest of us are here. And Earth herself, our beautiful Mother Gaia, our beautiful planet, is ascending. The energy around us is ascending. And humans are being asked to ascend with that energy. Now, what does that mean? It means raise our vibration. Love each other. Have compassion. Love Mother Earth more than you do prophets. Love humans more than you do prophets. Prophets meaning money. So this is happening right now on Earth, and it's going to take a long time. It's not going to happen overnight. But I will tell you that it has happened, and it is a faster, the ascension process is happening a little faster than you might think. And this is why you're watching this video, because maybe you're starting to have some bizarre things happen. Maybe you are having some very vivid dreams. Maybe you're starting to have something that you might consider a premonition. Maybe you saw or you had a dream about something happening in the United States or in the country that you're from, or maybe even about another country. And now you're thinking, why would I see this? What does this mean? What do I do? Maybe you had a premonition about your own family. Again, many of us had something happen to us in our younger years, and that caused us to shut it down. A lot of times that is, you had a premonition, maybe that someone was going to pass, or maybe you had a knowing about something that actually happened, somebody getting sick. And again, because we don't have the support, our community doesn't understand this. Our society doesn't understand this. And for sure, 99.9% chance that your parents did not understand this. And your parents told you to hush. Don't say that. Don't talk about that. Or here, let me pray it out of you. Let me send you to church. Whatever it is to fix you. So you learn. Don't talk about it. Do not share this with anybody, because no one's going to know what you're talking about or accept it. But it still happened to you. Still there in your memory banks. And perhaps it's happening now. Perhaps it's happening now with more frequency. Now, if it's happening right now with more frequency, you're in the middle of a big awakening, a big spiritual awakening. Now, that can look like sometimes for me, because I'm stubborn, I'm really stubborn, and I'm very analytical. So I want to know why, how, when, where, and I want that in triplicate because I'm a Virgo. So for me, again, remember how we talked about they kind of guide you under the radar so that you don't know. So for me, what they started doing, what I had psychic outburst. Okay, so for 23 years of my adult life, I was a professional photographer, and I photographed people and families, and I photographed high school seniors for their senior graduation photos. And I found myself saying to some of these seniors, "Oh, you're joining the Navy." Now, this, I promise you, came out of my mouth unbidden, unwanted. And if I could, I would have grabbed all those words up and shoved them right down into my mouth so that I had never said that, but it was too late. It was out. And now I'm looking through the lens of the camera at a senior who is pale, surprised, wide-eyed. How do you know that? How do you know that? I haven't even told my parents. How do you know that? Like freaking out. Obviously, this kid has been talking about joining the Navy. They're 18 years old, and they may have already signed the commitment letter without even telling their parents. And I had to do some quick thinking, and I would say, you just look like a kid who would go into the Navy. Now, luckily, this kid wanted to hear anything. Didn't have to make sense. Wasn't ready to question it. They just wanted to know that I didn't know anything that I wasn't supposed to know, and for sure that I hadn't told their parents. So many times that got me off the hook. Oh, you just look like a person who would be going to Yale. Like, what does that person look like, right? But I would just cover it up. Meanwhile, in my off time, I would be like, what is going on? I don't want to do this. Why is this happening? So you may experience something like that where things just come out of your mouth and you don't know why. It just burst out. That's your guides. Obviously, they've been sending you messages probably for a few years now, and you've been ignoring them, and they may have come as dreams or premonitions or knowings or clairaudience hearing things or clairvoyance seeing things, any number of things. You could have seen orbs. You could have seen grandma who's really in heaven, but there she is in the kitchen. You could have all those experiences, but yet say nope and nope and nope and nope and nope. So your guides got tired of sending you messages, and now they're taking things in their own hands, and they're going to climb right up in your body and help you, do this by putting you in an awkward situation. The very first mediumship reading, this is true. I mean, I read Ghost, but that's not the same thing. The very first mediumship reading I ever did wasn't because I put my shingle out in, my store, my website, and said, "Hey, I'm a medium. I'm ready to connect you with your loved ones in heaven." No. It happened when I was standing in my front yard talking to my neighbor, and there was a storm coming, and we were just chatting. And I didn't even really know her. This was maybe the second time I had ever chatted with her, and she had her groceries in her arms. I'll never forget this. And I said to her, one minute I'm saying, yeah, it looks like we may get like a tornado watch or something. It looks like this storm could really spin up. The next thing, I swear to you guys, I'm saying, and it wasn't me, was, I still cannot believe this happened. I have a message from your daughter. I just met this woman. What daughter? I don't even know she had a daughter. She lived by herself. She was in her, like 50s, mid 50s. I hadn't even seen any kids come or go. I had only lived in this house for about 8 months. And, what daughter? This woman dropped her groceries on the ground. I mean, the bags went on the ground. She literally they fell out of her hands. And she walked over to me, to my yard, and she looked at me and she said, "What did you just say?" And I wish that I could have said, "Happy Halloween," but I couldn't. I said, "Well, your daughter says she has a message for you." And I don't do this. I don't really know why I said that. And I don't really know why I said that. And I'm not even sure I can talk to your daughter. Okay. So, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I'm so sorry. And she says, no, my daughter died a year ago and I want to talk to her. If you can talk to her, I want to talk to her. I said, well, I don't really know that I can talk to her. I'm not sure why I said that. And she said, no, I'm going to put my groceries up and I'm going to come over to your house. I really need to talk to you. Sure enough, she put her groceries up. She was in my house 10 minutes later, knocking on my door. I invite her in. We're sitting in the living room. And I said, look, I'm not kidding you. I don't know why I said that. And I don't know if I can bring your daughter in. I don't know. Then all of a sudden her daughter's talking to me. Her daughter's talking to me and I can see her standing there. Now she's not standing there, like sometimes with mediumship, and this is rare, they could literally be standing there. But in my mind's eye, my third eye, my mind's eye, I'm seeing her stand there. And I'm like, well, your daughter looks like this. This is her height. This is her weight. This is her hair. This is what she's wearing. These are eye color. And the woman's just like, yes. I said, okay. So she's telling me this message for you. And we talked for an hour. And that was my first mediumship reading ever. And it came because they got into my spirit and just blurted it out. Because they knew if they were going to wait for me, it was going to be a long wait, right? I mean, I was dragging my feet. By this time, I think it had been 3 years since my spiritual awakening. And, I had taken classes and I had done some things, but I wasn't ready. Are we ever ready? Right? When are we ready? When are we ready to be different from everybody else, different from our family, different from our friends, different from society? Many of us don't want to be different. We want to fit in. We spend all our time trying to fit in. And now you're telling me I'm a zebra in a herd of giraffes? Great. Thanks. I appreciate that. Right. And I don't see any other zebras. It's just me. Right. So you may be feeling like that. You may be feeling isolated and alone. And nobody understands it. I can't share these bizarre things that are happening to me with anybody. And that is one of the hallmarks of a spiritual awakening is isolation, feeling alone. You start to feel disconnected. Well, certainly because you're a zebra and all these people are giraffes. You feel detached. You start to back away from your friends because you can't tell them about the things that are happening to you because you don't think they're going to understand. And maybe they wouldn't. You start reevaluating your beliefs. Like, is this Christian? Does this match my religion? Does this match my upbringing? So you start questioning everything. And you start questioning yourself. Why is this happening to me? I don't want it to happen to me. I didn't want that to happen to me. Now, the psychic thing was really cool. And once I realized that I was psychic, it just opened like a door that's been closed all this time. And I don't know, I never noticed the door there because when we're in school, nobody says, by the way, there's a door over here that you can open and access your psychic abilities. Nobody tells you that. But once I opened it, boom, super psychic. I feel like I'm more psychic than I am a medium. My guides disagree with that, but that's what I think. So you may feel disconnected. You may feel alone. You may feel alone. But if you do feel like that, I want you to know that I'm on your team. I'm in your community. You're in my community. You're in all these people watching this video's community. All the people commenting to this video, you're in their community. And I want to urge you to go out and find a community. You can go to your local metaphysical store. You can hang out there. You can take classes. You can take classes usually at that metaphysical store, but you can also take classes online. You can join online groups. There's so many ways to connect now than there ever was. It's much easier now than ever before. And yes, I offer classes. You can check out my website, SusanLynnMedium.com. I have a Patreon group, which is great. It's a group, it's a community, right? And that's what it is. It's a community of people like you and I, and we get together and do things, spiritual things, and we have classes and workshops and whatnot. You can check that out at patreon.com/SusanLynnMedium and Patreon, Patreon, Patreon. So get back to the thing here. Your relationships start to shift, right? You start to have some detachment from maybe a sibling, or detachment even from your own kids. Even you start to feel a little distance from your spouse, because your spouse is like, you are crazy, right? Isn't that what they say? That woo-woo stuff you're doing, are you doing more woo-woo stuff? Yes, I'm doing woo-woo stuff. Okay, well, I would just tell them, you watch your sports, I'll do my woo-woo stuff. Or you go do your thing, I'll do my thing. Right? Because this isn't going to go away. It's just not going to go away. You can put the lid on it. You can close the door. And in my case, I pictured, because I'm very clairvoyant, so I'm very visual. I pictured a house that was, let's say that's my subconscious or my consciousness. And you have windows in your house and you have doors in your house, right? Y'all, I boarded them windows up. I pictured me boarding all those windows up, boarding this window up, boarding the door. I locked my place down. I'm like, nobody's getting in here. I don't want to see y'all. I don't want to talk to y'all. I don't want to know about y'all. Bye. And that's what I did. I did that for literally probably a decade. And you probably have too, and that's okay. If we're not ready, we're not ready. But if you're watching this video, you're probably ready. And if you're having events and things that are happening with more frequency, then they're likely going to continue to happen. Yes, you could probably close the door. Yes, you might be able to board your windows up and keep this at bay for a little bit longer. But probably not forever. Now, it doesn't mean you have to become a medium or a psychic. It doesn't mean you have to become an animal psychic or a Akashic Records reader or an astrologer or a tarot card reader or an oracle card reader or an energy healer or anything else. But it does mean that your body, your soul wants to ascend. It could just mean that you are being called to do a meditation, a guided meditation. If you have a brain like I do that won't stop, that wanders off, squirrel, tree, what is that? If you have a brain like that, like I do, guided meditations are really helpful because your brain is listening to the story. So your brain has something to do until it gets put to sleep by the meditation, which is fine. So guided meditations, which you can find on YouTube, are really helpful. So maybe you're just being called to raise your vibration. That's how I started. That is how I started. I went through this terrible breakup and I said, I have got to do something. I know that I'm supposed to do something. I know that I need to raise myself up. I know this, right? So I started with my self-critical thoughts. I started, no, I'm not going to ever, don't say ever, but I'm going to try to catch myself when I say, Susan, you big dummy, why did you do that? Right? So now I say, Susan, that was a mistake. That was definitely a mistake. However, lucky for you, you make mistakes and you know how to fix them. You're a really good mistake fixer. So you're going to fix this mistake. Going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. We'll just figure it out. So what am I doing to myself? Instead of putting myself down and being critical of myself, I'm making it a little funny. And I'm also saying, hey, Susan, you know how to fix this. You've been through things before. You're going to be through things in the future. You're human. You're going to make mistakes. You're just going to learn how to fix it. Move on. I basically treated myself like hopefully people would treat a 5-year-old kid. It's okay. You're going to get over this. Pick yourself up. Dust yourself off. You're good. Let me give you a hug. Right? Once I started treating myself better, becoming my own best cheerleader, that's really true. At one point, I remember saying to myself, girlfriend, there's not a lot of people over here ready to cheerlead for you. You don't have like a line of people lined up going, go, Susan, go, rah, rah, rah. It's you. You've got to cheer for yourself. You've got to be your own best cheerleader. And when I started doing that, my vibration went up. Then I started doing guided meditations on YouTube about self-love, about confidence, about self-healing, about releasing. When I did that, my vibration went up some more. And then you know what happened? I was in closer resonance with my spirit guides. Our spirit guides love us unconditionally. Period. Unconditionally. You can't make them mad, because if you could, I would already be kicked off the team. I'm not kicked off the team. They love us. No matter what we do, doesn't matter. They love us. So when they love you unconditionally 100% of the time, and you don't love yourself 100% of the time, then you're at two different levels. They're up here in this loving vibration, and you're down here in this critical vibration. And sometimes you can miss their communication. You can miss working with them more deeply because your vibrations are not close to each other. So when I started raising my vibration, I found that they talk to me, and I can hear them talk to me, and I can talk to them, because our vibrations are closer in alignment. So this is some of the things that can happen when you actively accept and walk on and through your spiritual ascension journey. It's all good. You learn to be more patient, more compassionate, more loving, and you get more guidance. So those are the upsides. Those are the upsides. And eventually, these people in your life will see how much happier you are. They'll see how calm you are. And they're going to start asking you questions. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you smoking some wacky tobacco? What are you doing? You seem really calm. And you're just going to say, yeah, I don't know. I am calm. I feel really good. I'm just really centered. I'm grounded. They're going to be like, what is that? What is grounded? What is centered? And then you know what? You get to lead by example. All those people in your life you'd like to help. all your kids you would like to help, your siblings, your friends. You just want to help them, right? I wish I could just help them. This is how you help them. Not by telling them what they should or shouldn't do or giving them that advice. You help them by leading by example. They're going to see your light shine brighter and brighter and brighter and see you be happier. And they're just going to be drawn to you. You're going to start asking, what are you doing? Oh my gosh, look at how good you look. Look at how well you're doing. What's your secret? Well, then you can tell them, you can start telling them, I'm grounded, I meditate. I'm not listening to critical people and the news. I'm not listening to all this critical stuff. I know that what comes into my mind, what comes into my consciousness is important. So I try to just put good stuff in there. It's kind of like your diet, only it's more of a vibrational diet. What are you bringing into your vibration? Are you bringing in a bunch of true crime and news and critical and scary things? Well, that is not going to be, for most people, it doesn't make your vibration calm and beautiful and serene. Now, those of you guys that like that kind of stuff, fine, rock on. Maybe that is your soul path. Maybe the people that like those kind of disruptive energies or disruptive media, maybe that works for you. But I'm going to tell you, for the majority of us, like 80%, it's not helpful for us. We want to be in a state of joy, in a state of fun, because when our vibration is high, that's what we're feeling. So watch a funny movie, watch a happy movie, listen to some fun, lively music, listen to a comedian, do things to lift yourself up. And then those people will start to see that, you know what, whatever she's doing is working. It can't be scary because look at her. She looks amazing. She sounds amazing. She's really changed into this really calm, new energy. And whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And now all of a sudden, instead of you feeling detached and maybe even, separate, now you're starting to reintegrate into your family and into your friends. And you're not trying to convince them that tarot's not bad or mediumship isn't bad or whatever. You're not trying to convince them of anything. You're simply living your life, having these new values be your values. And these values are truly a high vibration. They're coming from your heart. So that is really how you can go through the spiritual journey, through this ascension, and how you can experience some pretty, surprising things, maybe some challenging things, and come out the other side of it and be okay. It's okay. I had to make peace with the fact that I can see ghosts and I can talk to dead people. I had to make peace with that. I had to accept that about myself. And then I had to honor it because I should honor it, right? This is a special gift. This is a special gift that I've been given. And I want to honor that. But in the beginning, I didn't know that. In the beginning, I was afraid of it. I didn't want it. I didn't want to feel different. So you have to kind of go through the journey, which is, up and downs, back and forth. But one thing's for sure. If you find your community, wherever that is, whoever that is, the process of going through the spiritual ascension is going to be a lot easier and a lot more fun. Isn't it always more fun to be able to call somebody or Zoom with somebody or text somebody and say, oh my gosh, I had this amazing meditation. I met Archangel Michael. Or I had this amazing dream and this happened. Or you're not going to believe it. I saw an orb. Now it's not scary. It's exciting because you've got somebody like you. You found a zebra. And now you have people that get you, that understand you, that you can share with. So find those people wherever they are. Know that they're there. There's so many of us right now waking up. So many of us that are looking for our other people, our tribe. Okay? So find them. And love yourself. Love yourself through this. Thank you so much for watching. I honor you on your spiritual journey. I'm thrilled that you're having a spiritual journey. I'm thrilled that another one of our light bulbs have lit up because we are light workers and we are emitting light and we are working with the light. And that is a blessing. That is truly a blessing. Thank you so much. Take really good care of yourself. Okay. We'll see you again right here on this channel.